Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel. Now today we'll be talking about a draw here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs 2, Manchester City 2. At half-time, there were boos here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but very, very different scenes at the full-time whistle, with some fans high-fiving Thomas Frank. Now, as per usual, we've got three very special guests with us. Craig Dearman's back with us. Craig, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, game of two halves, if ever there was one. Wow.
Absolutely. We will get into it. Also back with us is Ricky Norwood. Rick, how are you?
I'm good, bro. Listen, now I've got to tell everybody, first and foremost, I am in, the last 24 hours of transfer window. So there might be a call. I might have to rush off. I might have to, do you know what I mean? I might have to go for the medical a bit later on tonight. So I'm just letting you know, if I need to leave real quick, that's why. But yeah, we're still haggling over the number 14 shirt. So you never know. Lastminute.com. Deadline days arrive in the next 24 hours. But apart from that, I'm buzzing, bro. A good little draw.
I can mute him.
I'm just happy that I'm on with you beautiful people and all you beautiful people around the world. Let's have it. Come on.
If anyone doesn't know what Ricky is going on about, please do not ask. Also back with us is Hollie Agombar. Hollie, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. I'm glad that we kind of salvaged something in that second half, but I'm sure we'll get into it and more. But thank you for having me back on.
Well, right, let's get into it. This is the Spurs Chat Podcast. Today we'll be talking about the 2-2 draw against Manchester City. Cherky put Man City 1-0 up after 11 minutes, assisted by Haaland. Semenyo made it 2-0 just before the half-time break. Bernardo Silva assisting. It was 2-0 at half-time. Boos at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as I mentioned. And then it was a completely different second half. I think a lot of Spurs fans, including us four on the panel today, were fearing the worst in that second half. But Dominic Solanke grabbed one back for Spurs after 53 minutes, assisted by Xavi Simons. And then excellent work from Conor Gallagher on 70 minutes. And what a goal it was. We will get into it, talking about Dominic Solanke's equaliser. So it was 2-2. Now, after Tottenham's draw today, we remain 14th in the Premier League table. We now have 29 points from the opening 24 matches. A win against Manchester United could put us as high as 13th next Saturday. Now, the match facts and stats today. Tottenham Hotspur with 39% of the ball to Manchester City 61%. XG Spurs 0.97 to City's 1.99. Shots Spurs had 12, City had 15. Shots on target, Spurs edged it with 6. City only had 3. Total touches inside the opposition box, Spurs 26, Manchester City 30. Goalkeeper saves, Vicario 1, Donnarumma 4. Aerial duels 1, Spurs 5, Manchester City 15. Fouls committed, Spurs 15, City 12. And corners, Spurs had 3, City had 4. Craig, I'm going to come to you first of all. What did you make of that performance? I know you've already said it, a game of two halves, but that really was, wasn't it? Boos at the half-time, and then cheers, and a lot of people smiling and celebrating at the end.
It was incredible, really. First half of football was probably the worst I think I've seen us play all season. Second half was some of the best I've seen us play all season. Obviously, City in patches controlled the ball in the second half. I don't know what the possession stats were in the second half, but they did seem to control it a bit more. But they just, Haaland looked. He hasn't looked at it for weeks, so kept him quiet as well, which was great. But that first half, pretty dreadful. What's frustrating is that we seem to have to go a goal down or 2 goals down in this case before we come out and play, and that can't continue. We've got to start doing that over 90 minutes. It was just weird that first half. It was. I think it actually did us a favour. We were so bad in the first half because City, the team talk for Pep in a half time would have been, look, you've got this. This is just so easy, and that's how the players would have been. They'd have thought this is the easiest game of football we've ever played. They took their foot off the gas. We came out with a bit more intent, a bit more passion, and City just couldn't get back into the game. So. In that regard, it done us well to be so bad in the first half because let's face it, you couldn't be much worse in the second half. Xavi Simons, I thought, was immense in the second half. He was trying in the first half, one of the few players that were actually throwing himself into tackles, but he was just the instigator of everything good in that second half. And as I say, City just couldn't get into the game. We kind of upped the tempo, up the passing, and we looked the more dangerous throughout the second half. But it's the first half that still is concerning. That was pretty poor, but on the whole, you've got to be happy with a point after that first half.
Craig, what a difference it makes to have Dominic Solanke in this team. I know we're going to talk about that goal in particular, the second goal, the equaliser. But to have a striker, to have a forward in those key areas where the wingers, the other players, the midfielders know exactly where they can find him, and if they feed him, he's going to score.
Yeah, he was. It's chalk and cheese with him and Richarlison, really. Solanke getting in those positions where we've talked about again and again about where you want your number 9, and well, for both goals he was in there. His second goal, the finish, was just one of those that he's never going to score one like that again. But it was, that scorpion kick. He just shows a bit of ingenuity, doesn't it? And Donnarumma got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. So, but the whole team was good in that second half, Chris. I think Gallagher it's one of the first times I've actually seen him on the pitch, if that makes sense, where he's actually been brought in to do a certain job, and actually he's done it in that second half. So I think Romero going off helped us actually in a funny sort of way. So I don't know whether he's injured or anything. Solanke was limping at the end. So have we got more injuries? So that's going to be looked at, and you would hope if we have got more injuries that the club are going to do something and bring somebody in on transfer deadline day tomorrow. But whether that's going to happen, who knows? It doesn't look like it at the moment, does it?
At the time of recording now, there is now exactly 24 hours to the minute, 24 hours left of the transfer window. Sky Sports have just stated that Dominic Solanke just told them, I rolled my ankle a bit, but I will be fine. Let's certainly hope that he will be fine. And the images that people are watching now on Facebook, on X and YouTube saw that Archie Gray was down at the end of the game as well. And as you said, Craig, we can't have any more injuries, particularly in the month of Feb, because we've got such key and very, very difficult games coming up, starting with Manchester United next Saturday, then Newcastle at home, and then, of course, the North London derby at home. Ricky, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's draw.
It was a crazy game today. It was a crazy game with all of the talks of a walkout on 75 minutes. There was a different energy in the ground. I felt it was one of the flattest. I had to text you actually and kind of go, is it my TV or is it really that quiet? But you confirmed it. It really was that quiet. So there was a flat, awkward, crazy energy in that first half. And for me, those two halves that almost explain what we've seen this season. The first half was very reminiscent of the Guna game, the Chelsea game, anytime that we've actually come up against someone that, Frank's worried about more than us. Do you know what I mean? Man City's such a big team. Let's make sure that we don't, rather than what do we do? And it felt like that. There was many passes missed within the middle. Again, it was sideways and backwards. They were looking at the wings all the time. And it was a very kind of flat performance. You could see a couple of flashes there, but very, very flat. But once we've gone 2-0 down, again, as we've seen this season, the shackles had come off and it was go and play. And it was nothing to lose football. And suddenly you started to see us playing football. Suddenly you started to see us passing and moving. And you started to see different runs being made and people trying to find them, rather than in the first half. Solanke was making runs left and right and centre, and he was not being put in whatsoever. It was going sideways and into the wings or backwards. So you can see once those shackles are off and once it's nothing to lose football, that we can actually play football, that we can actually compete. And today, I think that the headline is about the comeback. You know, the fact that they had enough gumption and enough fire in them. I've always said that these boys that we've got playing for Tottenham have character. One of the biggest characteristics that Ange looked for in any player was that character. And we're not just talking stand up when the chips are down type of character. You need character to come to Tottenham. You know, you got to think every 20-year-old, every 21-year-old have grown up with Tottenham being a bit of a joke, you know, a bit of a nearly team, a bit of a, if they only done the right things, they could be here type of team. And so those that sign for us, that type of character to go, I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that philosophy. I'm going to change that way that people look at us. I'm going to change that energy. That's massive. And you saw that in the second half today. You saw that type of energy stand up. You saw once the shackles were off and they were allowed to play through the middle and they were allowed to, you know, the plan had switched up. We've gone to a 4-4-2 and there was fight, there was gumption, and there was a comeback. And, you know, I am not Frank's biggest fan because I really don't like the style of football that he plays. But at this point in time, and us fans do it all the time, and you can see evidence in the ground today, but we've got to stick by our team right now, man. It's about those boys. It's about them on the field because we are in a bit of a battle and we are in this crazy quagmire of darkness and then joy and then confusion and then apathy, you know. So the one thing that we as fans that we've done, you know, you saw it in the second half. As soon as they started playing, the crowd were behind them. You saw it in the first half, around 35 minutes when it was super flat. There was the crowd were trying to sing "Come on, you Spurs" to get them up, get them going. So we're there, but like we're in a different fight now. Like, so it's about, and as the fans have been doing, as I've witnessed myself, it's about clapping and cheering the boys on the field to get up, get them going, especially when it's in tough times. And you can see, you know, the data shows, and this guy's a data manager, that once we play football, we're a much more dangerous side. Once we're pressing high, we're much more dangerous. Once we're going for it, once we're going to win, we are a much more dangerous side. And that actually helps our defense when we're going for it, rather than just conceding space and you know, momentum. When we go for it, we're much better at the attacking side of things, but we're also much better at the defending side of things. So this is the way forward. Please, I hope and pray that it continues that way and they see the evidence within that to go, come on, boys, let's go play football, rather than this other type of Frank ball that we've been used to. We've been used to no shots and no XG, and we've been used to conceding defeat and not throwing a punch on our opponents. That's become a bit of a trait of what Frank ball is. But that second half shows you what we can be. So for me, that's what I'm kind of grabbing onto now. That's what I'm jumping on. I'm like, okay, cool. Come on, boys. Let's keep that moving. I'm not, again, Frank hasn't won me over, but it's about the boys and it's about these 3 points and it's about the fight within the league and the Champions League now. And that's where I'm trying to focus.
Ricky, when you have that extremely disappointing first half, and I spoke to a lot of people at half time, and the amount of people who said, you know, he's got to go, we can't continue to play like this, you know, it's terrible. You know, you can imagine what other things were said, what I can't repeat on this show. But when you see that determination, that fight, that desire in that second half, does it give you hope as a Spurs fan that it could work under Thomas Frank? And I know we'll talk about the lineup in a minute. You know, the amount of injuries and the amount of players that we've got out at the moment, when Frank does have a fully fit squad, can it be a lot better?
I don't know, because the one thing that you can see what the boys are doing they are following the plan. So plan A in the first half, they followed it to a T, sideways, backwards, no through balls, no middle football, contain, consolidate. They followed it to a T. And then in the second half, once they was allowed to let go, and yes, that might be a tactic as well. Frank might have that in the bag where it's like, okay, boys, plan C, go for it, and that might be in his bag, but the boys went again, so you can see that they're following the manager's plan. I'm not inspired by that type of football. I always want us to go for it and not worry about the opposition, worry about us. I want us to play football. Tottenham traditionally is a footballing side. We like to play the 1-2 pass. We like flair. We like, outside the box goals and wonder goal. We like excitement. That's our attraction. What Maddison said when he signed. That's the reason that he signed, because he could see that Tottenham was a place for him, because he could express himself in that way, in a Tottenham way in which it was appreciated. We need to see more of that. Frank's still in the job. It looks like the board want him to stay for the foreseeable future at this point. So it's up to Frank. I've always laid it at Frank's door. I'm not just gonna, hit on him and speak negatively about him because I want to. I don't. If Frank's doing well, we're doing well. Do you know what I mean? I care about Tottenham. I don't believe that his way of playing is a Tottenham style of playing. I think he would do great at somewhere like Atletico Madrid, a Leicester, loads of clubs. But I just don't think that his way of wanting us to play works for us. Although, when you look at that second half, it can. So it's up to him. He's got to look at what's been working. And what's been working is when we've gone 2 goals down and we've let the shackles off, or when we've gone to play football against Dortmund, Stuttgart the other day. Like, when we go to play football, we're a much better side than trying to consolidate and trying to hold on and trying to just protect the goal and keep it 0-0 in the first half. We've got to go for it. So if Frank sees that and builds on that and puts that plan C as his plan A, and we start to see that, we'll be a lot more happier. We will back it, and you'll see the momentum and you'll see the energy rise, and you'll see us, you'll see all of us fans go, come on then. We know we're decimated with injuries. It was a good effort today. You look at the effort that those boys put in the second half. It was massive, especially after being in Germany the other, a couple of days ago. So there is the evidence there that it can work, but plan A is still the wrong plan for Tottenham. He needs to shift it up and start playing the way that we've seen works for us in offense as well as defense. You've got to see that, and you've got to build on that. The more I see us go up against a big side and we play this, please don't hurt us football and one over the top type of, and wait for an individual to make something happen, I don't think it works. So that's what I would say. I would say keep on the things that have been working. Let's see. I'm about Tottenham. I'm about cheering them on. I'm about them winning and them progressing and, us being the best that we can possibly be. So that's where I'm at with it. I don't know where he's gone. He's probably gone for a picture with Xavi or something, isn't he, Craig?
He could be. He could well be. There's somebody posted, I don't know if this is true, I can't see why it wouldn't be true, but Thomas Frank's win percentage as Spurs manager has now dropped to 29.2%, putting him 18th out of 21 Spurs managers in Premier League history. Yeah. So,
one of the worst.
It's one of the worst. And I'm with you, Rick. Good second half performance, but again, that first half, I just don't think. I'm a bit lost. What do you think, Hollie? What do you think?
To be honest with you, I don't get it, because we play so well in the Champions League, and don't get me wrong, it might be a mindset thing in terms of let's go out there and play our best because we're playing in European football. But today, the start of that first half, and like we've all kind of said, it was 2 different kind of games in that sense. But I don't know how, as a professional footballer, you don't get up for a game, especially when you're playing a team like Man City. Historically, we like to beat anyway. And for me, I just can't fathom how we can't manage to do so. I mean, in the whole Thomas Frank kind of situation, I don't think he's necessarily the right man for the job. Yes, he hasn't been helped with injuries, but there's just certain things how he sets us up. And I think to myself, if that was me, I wouldn't play him there because it's not his natural position. When we've got the likes of, I know he's young, but Byfield, that played brilliantly when he came in on the Champions League, just give him a go. Let's see how we can do, because putting people into places that aren't actually their best position, we're not going to see the best out of them, which is going to put them down. And I think it's true, the kind of way he sets us up, I think when we completely lose how we want to set up, and I know Ricky talks about plan A doesn't work, when he doesn't have a plan, it seems to work fine. When we're kind of trying to catch that lead again that we've kind of let ourselves go in that first half, it's completely crazy to me. And I just love to see that. I know we've spoken a little bit about Xavi Simons and how that he seemed to me the only player for 90 minutes that was seeming to do something, although it wasn't the best first half from him, and no one was playing great in the first half. And then second half, he completely pulled the strings for us, which I want to see more of. But to kind of answer your question, I've been a bit off tangent, Craig, but I think it's just a crazy place to be Spurs at the minute. And for me, I don't see how Frank is like, we're at the bottom, let's just go gun-ho and try and do something, because if we keep playing passively, we're not going to pick up the points.
Hollie, what are your expectations for this season, for what you've seen so far? What do you think we can achieve?
That is a big question in itself. The way we're playing, and especially obviously that result with West Ham and Chelsea the other day, I'm kind of sat here thinking if we can just kind of salvage and stay in this league. I don't necessarily think we're going to get relegated, but the way that I see us turn up to games, especially in first half performances, I wouldn't be shocked if we are lagging near the bottom. I think today was a massive salvage of the fact that we managed to salvage a point. But if those teams below us start to pick up form again, I am generally scared. And especially, as you kind of mentioned already, the window slams shut tomorrow. 12 senior players injured. Solanke obviously rolling his ankle. That could be 13 senior players injured. Like, it really, really baffles my mind that the higher ups aren't thinking to themselves, wow, we really need to do something here, because we could be in serious trouble.
Hollie, let's stay with you. Let's talk about the starting 11 today, because Spurs have so many injuries right now. And I feel like I've said this on most podcasts, particularly in the last couple of seasons under Ange Postecoglou and now under Thomas Frank. You know, the amount of injuries that Spurs have had this season has been absolutely ridiculous. The team lineup today: Vicario, Dragusin, Polina, Xavi Simons, Basuma, Udogi, Gray, Romero's captain, Solanke, Gallagher and Kolo Muani. And you can tell that the depth of the bench today, we were very, very thin, with respect. Kinski, Tell, Odegaard, Sarr, Souza, Olasesi, Kiamatin, Byfield and Rosewell. A lot of development and youth team players there. What did you make of the starting 11 today?
Interesting, to say the least. I mean, seeing Archie Gray, bless him, as kind of a wing-back kind of position, again, it kind of alerts back to that sense of playing players out of position because we don't have the kind of players to do so. And I know that I mentioned, obviously, Byfield could have been thrown in there just to kind of level it out again, because that's potentially where he kind of plays at that back. But again, we are really, really thin on the ground. And when you look at the subs bench and you're thinking to yourself, wow, we are in a bit of a pickle here. But in terms of everything kind of else, I think we kind of saw in the first half that kind of midfielder Basuma and Gallagher in the middle. It just kind of got overrun quite a lot. And I think that was my biggest worry for me. But like I say, there's not really a lot we can do when we haven't really got lots to our disposal. I mean, you probably would have potentially stuck Odegaard out on that wing just to give you a bit more kind of stretching of the play. But again, there was rumours that he wasn't potentially 100% fit, which is why he didn't start. So when you haven't really got many players to play with, what else can you kind of do?
Craig, do you want to add anything about the starting 11 and Thomas Frank's team selection today?
He was kind of down to the bare bones, as we know. Probably echoing a lot of what Hollie said, to be honest with you. I was surprised if Odegaard was fit. I'd heard that he might have had a knock of some description, so that might be why he started on the bench. But I'm surprised he persists with Kolo Muani. I just don't see what he really brings, especially in the Premier League. I'm just surprised he didn't start Tell. To be honest with you, he's looked quite hungry every time he's come on, not in the Champions League squad. So when is Matisse Tell ever going to get minutes? And it only seems to be as a sub. He looked fuming when he come on, actually, Tell, which I don't blame him. So That was probably the only one. I'm not really sure what else he could have done. He could have put Sarr in, of course, as well. But really, we were down at the bare bones today. And that first half, really, it was almost like a training game, wasn't it? It was bizarre, and the stadium was so quiet in that first half as well. That was really noticeable on the telly. Really noticeable, and that must not have exactly hyped the players up. And it's all about the crowd getting the players up and the players getting the crowd up, isn't it? So it was kind of a vicious circle. That,
Craig, that is exactly the term I was going to use. In the opening 45 minutes, it certainly did seem like a training match for Manchester City. Absolutely. We knew this was going to be a very, very tough game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. They started extremely well, City, didn't they? Really good move. Vicario being forced into a save after just 2 minutes. And then the first goal for them coming after just 10 minutes with Turkey after Basuma lost the ball. Do you want to talk us through the goal?
Yeah, just a really slow start, as you say, by Tottenham. Really good start by City. I think Dragusin should have got closer to Turkey actually on this, backing off, and just got the shot away. Vicario's positioning, old question. I think he was too close to his near post. I think he needed to be at least a yard in the other direction, but I'm not a goalkeeper, so I'll leave that to people that can comment on that. But I think he was slightly out of position. The goal didn't go in at any massive speed, so I just thought it was bad defending by Spurs. And Dragusin looked like a player who'd been out for 8-9 months as well, even though he's obviously had some minutes in the preceding games. But not much pressure on the ball there, not much pressure on Turkey, and City probably, you have to say at that point, deservedly ahead.
Craig, what did you make of our defending overall over the 90 minutes today?
Well, again, the first half, it was pretty bad. Second half was a lot better, even though we limited City's chances in that second half. Few scrappy bits in our area in the second half. Definitely Haaland just flicking over from one of them. But to be fair, just after this, Haaland could have put City 2-0 up in that first half after, again, bad defending, just a long ball straight through, which I'm sure you're going to mention. Haaland shrugged aside Romero and actually should have done better and just lobbed Vicario almost into an empty net. So we were lucky we got away with a couple of things in that first half. City could have been home and hosed by half time, to be honest with you. But this goal, bad defending by Tottenham.
Ricky, let's come to you. As Craig mentioned there, after 17 minutes, City had another chance. Haaland, ball over the top. He shot over the bar. On 20 minutes, I actually wrote this down. Dominic Solanke standing. We saw Solanke really pressing heavy in the last couple of years, especially under Ange Postecoglou. But there didn't seem, in periods of the game today, there didn't seem much pressing from Spurs. What do you put that down to?
Do you know what? I don't know, but I would say it was the game plan. For me, Chris, there was a lot of standing still in that first half. In every quarter of that game. In defence, there was a lot of standing still. In midfield, there's a lot of standing still. And up front, there was a lot of, so you'd get one player running. There was so many times where one player was running and you're like, there's so much space on the right-hand side at points. Xavi had the ball and he was holding up, but you could see Man City defenders coming into him, and nobody made that run over to the right-hand side to give him an option. Every time, especially in that first half that we got forward, there wasn't another option, or the option was easily cut out. So I don't know what to put it down to, apart from it being a directive from the management, because you could see once the second half popped up, do you know what I mean? That had gone out the window. So I can only put it down to a directive, my friend. And those boys being, they are trying, not only for themselves, but they're trying to implement this, whatever system it is. And that's what ends up happening. We end up playing kind of negative, anti-footballish. You know, it's not anti-football, but it's anti-footballish. So I really don't know, Craig. But like I said earlier, it's about recognizing what has been working for Tottenham. In the games in which we've played well, you've seen how we've played. We've gone out to play football, like I've said. So please, I'm asking and begging, recognize that side of the game, and let's continue that way. What we're doing, like you gave the example of, is just it just doesn't do anything for us. And then you see players kind of losing the will a little bit. The energy drops, and that kind of fast twitch, reactions end up being dampened. So, yeah, for me, it comes from the manager.
Rick, let's stay with you. On 23 minutes, Xavi Simons had a free kick from 20 yards out. It went straight against the wall. That was our first chance of the game, actually, midway through the first half. Then in the same minute, Cherky had a glorious chance, clean through on goal. Went past a couple of Spurs players, and eventually it went wide. I wrote down here, what a player, because it could have easily been 2 after just 23 minutes. On 34 minutes, Xavi Simons with a poorly weighted pass to your doggy, and then the crowd groaned at that point. And as you rightly mentioned, you did message me during the game and said, is it really that quiet? It was quiet inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. On 36 minutes, Xavi Simons on the edge of the box. The crowd at this point was shouting. Everyone in the stadium was just shouting, shoot, shoot. But the ball was on his left foot. He didn't want to shoot on his left foot. He was trying to put it on his right foot. It was frustrating, the fact that Spurs, in large periods of games, don't seem to be shooting from outside the box. And we understand this is, Thomas Frank not wanting the players to shoot from outside the box. Is that frustrating for you as a fan?
Massively. In football, it's not science. Yes, you can add science. Yes, you can add data, but football is not science. Football is magic. Things are supposed to happen out of nowhere. You're supposed to see an opportunity and take it. Improvisation and things happening in the moment, like that's what football is. That's the magic. That's why we go to watch it. We don't go to watch 2 + 2 = 4. So there has to be a mixture of that. So yeah, I mean, this whole kind of not shooting from outside the box actually does my nut in a little bit, because it stifles creativity, and then you're overthinking, you're over analyzing. That exact example is the one that I was talking about as well. On 36 minutes with Xavi. Yes, he could have taken a shot. Yes, there was a moment to take it. But where was the option on the right-hand side? In trying to shift it from one foot to the other, it's allowed Man City to kind of crowd him out. So where is his option? But there was no runner. And the amount of times in that first half that somebody made a run, or there was just big, massive pockets of space in that first half. It was a makeshift back three, right? And I just didn't know how there was so much space at times, or even in the midfield. I just didn't understand it at times. So there's definitely something they have to recognize and do. But I will just say this, I know we're going to talk about individuals. I thought Xavi, he grew massively in that game. And in the second half, he did grab the game by the scruff of the neck, as did Solanke, and as did Gallagher. I kind of saw what we bought him for in the second half. In the first half, it was just a bit meh. It was just a bit. It felt like numbers. It felt like a numbers game. It's just a body in there that is going to help us. But second half, he had some good tackles, strength, but like the driving, he was trying to drive at City, and he put in the cross as well for that second one, and he got an assist. So at least we got to see something. But you have to recognize what's not working, and just repeating what's not working every time. That's what frustrates every single Tottenham fan. That's why we've lost faith in Frank, because that's what we're used to seeing, and we can't get on board with that. And plus losing at the same time. But when we play like Tottenham, when we go out, because we know these players, even though we're decimated, even that we're down to the bare bones again, and even though we haven't got no help from the board as yet, again, to see that fight and to see that character shine through, and to see that they can play football, that's what gave me a little bit of something to hang on to. That's why I'm cheering for these boys, and that's why instead of just getting on Frank's back, and like I said, I'm not his biggest fan, but instead of just getting on his back, I'm trying to almost like ask him to please see what's working at Tottenham for your own sake. Do you know what I mean? See what's working at Tottenham. Continue that style of football. Play like that. Look, in Germany, there was times where he actually managed the game well, right? There were certain things that he done. He managed the game. We were decimated again, and you could give him credit for that. You know, you go, oh, okay, I understand what you're doing there. You're bringing on Solanke in the second half and this, that. So we've seen him manage game. Okay, cool. Do that. But we have to play like Tottenham first and then start to manage the game. You know, it's got to be the other way around in that sense. And not all of us will be happy with that, but it's a better way round rather than nothing to lose football. Because, again, the only way that I've been able to describe Frank's football is almost relegation style. And nothing to lose football is also relegation style. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to say that. I think there's enough character in these boys. There's enough fight in these boys to not be in that race. But you need to see what's working, and then you need to implement that, and then we need to build on that moving forward. I mean, come on. See, he's got an analyst up in the stands and everything. See what's working. Let's keep it moving forward. I'm fed up of being fed up with Tottenham. I'm fed up of being negative about Tottenham. I hate slagging off my own team. I hate being negative about my own team. It's one of the things I cannot stand. I always try and look for something, and that's where I've got to now. I'm so drained with it. I'm trying to flip it for myself more than anything else and go, it's about the boys on the field. Please, I'm imploring you to play the way that works for Tottenham, and things will change. We will see a shift in every single element of what's going on. And if you can get Agombar over the line in the next 24 hours, it will lift the place again. So come on. If we're doing this for the season, he's not going to get the sack. He would have got the sack way before now if he was going to get the sack. If we're doing this, please, let's do it properly.
Hollie, let's come to you. And certainly, Ricky, I know I've heard you for 3 days on the spin of talking about our season, and it hasn't been good for my ears.
And it hasn't been good for my soul, my friend. Do you know what I mean? But I felt it in Germany, Chris. There was times when we was watching that game in Germany, right, up in the stands, and because everybody we met was so negative, was so low about Tottenham, and there were certain things that I was negative and low about. It almost, it's only coming away. I've kind of recognized it, that it almost seeped in, that energy, and I was sitting there watching the game, and I was waiting for negativity rather than looking to, come on, boys, let's go to win. Do you know what I mean? It's only when I've come away, I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't like that energy. Do you know what I mean? I don't like slagging us off. So I'm trying to flip the script, not only for some people at home that need to flip the script and that have had enough and fed up like me of being negative or being in this darkness, but just for myself.
Well, do you know what, Hollie? I'm going to ask you about the second Manchester City goal, and then what we'll do is we'll tweet out and we'll post out that listen to the podcast around the 40-minute mark, and you'll miss out all the negative parts. So that's right. We'll go on to the Man City goal on 38 minutes. Tottenham just inside the Manchester City box. Dom Solanke laid it off to Xavi Simons. A lovely back heel it was, and then it was blocked. And then 44 minutes, Manchester City had a shot that went wide, and then moments later, Semenyo, of all people, putting City 2-0 up and then celebrating in front of the South Stand. What did you make of the goal, Hollie?
It's just frustrating again, isn't it? I think we just cause our own problems, which is my biggest frustration with Spurs. And again, like you say, for it to be that man to put it in the back of the net after all the talk of, obviously in Frank's press conferences and in a respect that we've tried to get Semenyo, for him to put the ball in the back of the net just sent me as well. But again, it was that kind of nature of how we've defended kind of all season in terms of giving players so much space. I mean, even from this picture, you can see how much gappage there is between Bernardo Silva through to Semenyo. And it's like, mate, come on. Like, you're professional footballers. There's in some part instilled in your mind, regardless of what Thomas Frank has told you and how to set up, you should know how to kind of defend this ball. It's just frustrating once again for Spurs. And just, again, the way it goes into the back of the net. I am kind of on this vibe of I am losing the will to live at the moment in time. And I'm so glad that, again, like Ricky said, that like Craig has said, thank God for that second half, because I honestly would be at wit's end. But again, like I said, we've done this all season. We've kind of caused our own problems throughout.
Now, at half time, as I said, a lot of people were very, very disappointed and complaining, moaning about that first half performance. Now, boos at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the XG at half time was 0.17. We had 35% of the ball, we had 3 shots and 1 on target. Craig, how are you feeling at the halfway point?
Very, very deflated, very familiar, really. We've seen so many first halves this season where we've been terrible, and it was just a rinse and repeat of a general theme, wasn't it? There was actually something in me that thought we'd come out and give it a go, because it's very difficult to be that bad in 2 halves of football. And I'll come back to what I said earlier, that I think City just thought they were going to see the game out and even just cruise to a 2-0 victory, might nick another one, but it wasn't like that at all. But yeah, I'm sure everybody just had WhatsApp groups and text messages from people, and if you went on X, I mean, I know it's a toxic place anyway, everybody was just apoplectic. It was horrible again, but again, I come back to it, it's all too familiar. It's happened so many times this season and nothing's changed. It's like Ricky said, why are we... It's always plan B that seems to work. So why aren't they learning? Why aren't they learning that should be plan A? I don't get that. That obviously comes from the coaches, doesn't it? The players only do what the coach tells them to do. Is that a case, again, of the players just thinking, sod it? I mean, we've heard Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero say that's why they've got so many goals this season, because they feel like they need to take it upon themselves to actually do what the strikers aren't doing. Thankfully, Solanke today came to the party and scored 2 goals. But it's just happened time and time again this season, and it does paper over some cracks to a degree. But I don't want to be too negative, because the second half performance was obviously the one that we all want to remember. If that had been the other way around, perhaps we would be a little bit more down. Because it's different, isn't it? If we've gone 2-0 up and then conceded 2 goals, it creates a completely different complexion on the game. Same result, but just a different way of getting there. So I haven't changed my thoughts on the manager, but we're not really here to discuss Thomas Frank today. I'd prefer, like Ricky, to kind of separate the two, because that's the only way I can get through watching the Spurs match at the moment, is giving kudos to the players, because the players in that second half were brilliant. And you can say all you want about the manager has to inspire the players. We don't know if that happened. You'd like to think it did. You'd absolutely like to think it did, because that's his job. So you've got to, I suppose, give a bit of kudos for Frank for getting us back in that game. But that first half, we've seen it all too many times.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas Frank, on whether Spurs will be active in the next 24 hours of the transfer window. He's just come out and said, we are active, no doubt about that. If something happens, let's see. Some of them will hopefully have QT back. He is a minor. Mickey, we hope, is back for the Manchester United game. And Jed Spence, we hope, won't be too long. And talking about Romero, because we'll go on to talk about the second half now. Romero went off at half-time. Sarr came on. And Frank has just confirmed that Romero is ill at half-time. Craig, let's stay with you. On 51 minutes, Xavi Simons had a shot saved by Donnarumma. And it did seem to get the crowd up for it in this second half, and it gave us some belief that we were going to be up for the second half, because like you said, we have been here so many times this season where we haven't performed either the first half or the second half, and we have performed in the first half or the second half, but as a collective 90 minutes we just haven't seen that all-round performance yet.
No, we haven't. I don't think we have all season, have we? Perhaps Burnley first game, but yeah, it was. I mean, City, you got to look at it. City are actually quite fragile at the moment. They look back at their last 6 results. So it's no real surprise that we were going to get times during this game where we were going to be dominating and actually have chances. City will always give you chances. And I do believe that there are sides that are bogey teams for other sides. It does happen in football, doesn't it? It's that weird thing. And we always have been, certainly over the last, I don't know, 8-9 years, we've been City's bogey team, haven't we? They've struggled to get results against us. So there was a kind of glimmer for me. So when I saw in that beginning of the second half, I thought, yeah, do you know what? They're gonna remember this. It's kind of ingrained in them that, oh no, it's happened again, sort of thing. Didn't have quite enough to get the job done and have a miraculous comeback and win the game. But City looked fragile in that second half, and their back line wasn't the strongest it could have been. And it just goes to show what happens when you attack teams. When you attack teams, you get at them, you win the ball higher up the pitch. We were getting more people forward for our attacks, and if we were hitting them on the counter, there were sometimes 5 or 6 Spurs players. Xavi leading the charge, running with the ball. He always it tickles me, actually, the way you want to look at Xavi's kit when he comes off the pitch when we're wearing all white, and he's absolutely, his kit's turned green by the end of it. It just goes to show how much he's lumped in the air and spends how much time on the floor. But he was really leading the charge in the second half, and we got our just rewards, didn't we? You could say all day that Solanke's goal was, his second one was lucky. But you got to be there. You got to put your foot in the air, and you got to, you've got to try these things. And we got the little bit of luck we deserved. So, Xavi Simons, as you say, though, started that. That was a really good save, actually, by Donnarumma. Just tipped over the bar, but that kind of sets on our way.
Ricky, before we talk about Dominic Solanke's first goal for Spurs on 53 minutes. As Craig mentioned there about Xavi Simons, I thought it was a great performance from him, particularly in that second half in a Spurs shirt. What have you made of his Spurs career so far?
To be expected, almost, Chris. He's been around the world, but we know that there's always an adaptation period within the Premier League. It doesn't matter what star comes from what league, there's always an adaptation period. And I think the intensity, the strength, you've seen him. I've always had belief in Xavi. I've said this to you before, but throughout his age groups, when he's been training, right, and wherever he's been, he's always been the smallest. He's always gone up against bigger and stronger and taller, and he's always been that guy. But he's always figured it out wherever he's been, and I've had that in my soul where it's like, as soon as he figures it out, he's going to be dynamite. And you can see also that him being a good player, a top professional, that he's trying to follow the manager's plan. So you can see what type of plan first half was. You can see what type of plan the second half was. But he's growing. He's growing week in, week out. It's always going to take a little while for a player to find his feet within the Premier League. It's really hard to transfer exactly, unless you're Haaland, but exactly how you've been playing in one league to another league. It always takes time. Doesn't matter how good you are. Look at Florian Wirtz at Liverpool. It does take a minute. Look at Sonny at Tottenham. That first season, at the end of it, there was talks of him leaving, wasn't there? Until Poch got his arm around him and went, no. Season 2 is going to be your season. Watch. And it was. And look what happened with him. So I kind of see that same trajectory with Xavi. He's got the right eye, the right vision. He's got the right eye for a pass. He's finding it little bit by little bit. But the more we go to play football, the better he looks. When we play to hold on and to try and break, sometimes he can get lost. Or sometimes he's either ahead of the pace or behind the pace of it. So he's always trying to catch up one way, shape or form. But he will find it, and he will be a fan's favorite for a long time to come, because he's got it all in the locker. He just needs to put it together and find out how it works in the Premier League. We've seen his quality in the Champions League as well, and that style of football is a lot different. The pace is a lot different. The intensity is a lot different. And we've seen how good he can be in Europe as well throughout this season. So he's climbing, he's building, and I think week on week, and game in, game out, he's getting better little bit by little bit. And by next season, I think he's going to be flying. But this year, you can see he's got a bit between his teeth. He wants to make a change. He wants to be influential on the side. All of those are massive, massive positives. I will just give a slight shout out to Paulinho as well. That same type of energy and want and will to win and get something out of the game. I thought he was fantastic, whatever position he was playing in. You can see how much he wants to just be a part of something good and fight. And he looks like he's fighting for the shirt, and he looks like he wants to be at Tottenham. And that's what we're talking about. That type of character from within that wants to change the way Tottenham's viewed and the results and et cetera, et cetera. I think that's to be applauded as well. And I thought the both of them were really, him and Xavi today were really, really good, especially in that second half.
Hollie, can I just come to you on Xavi Simons as well? Because Thomas Frank has just said in the press conference, Xavi was exceptional today. He's a good footballer, but he's an even bigger winner and fighter. Now, when I was with former Spurs star David Bentley a couple of weeks ago, he actually was talking about Xavi Simons and said that Simons will be as big and as good as Luka Modric. And I said to him, wow, that is some praise, and that is something to say about a new player, certainly coming to the Premier League for the first time. But as Ricky said, he has been, he's only a young player, but he has been at some top clubs. Is Tottenham the club where he's going to be a world star?
I hope so, because we've seen glimpses of it at the start of the season, and I feel like now he's finally finding his rhythm. We know it's going to take time to transition to the Premier League. It's the most physical league in the world. It's so demanding. But the facts like today, I know we didn't play great the first half, but you could see him trying to make something happen, trying to dribble past players, trying to put a ball in behind, and it just wasn't clicking. Second half, absolutely brilliant. Took the game by the scruff of the neck, was weaving in and out, turning, playing those balls through, and the determination when we were high up the pitch to press and win that ball back. There were so many times when he made a challenge, got the ball back, and was instantly trying to look to get a ball into the penalty spot, which is something, again, that I feel we don't do enough of, especially when we've got Solanke back now. Get a ball into the box and get him on his head. So for me, I think he is going to be a massive star for Spurs. I just think once we've got players back and once we actually start playing with a bit more kind of personality, because he does thrive just being able to do what he wants, I think we're going to see the very best out of Xavi Simons.
Hollie, let's stay with you. On 53 minutes, Dominic Solanke got Tottenham's first goal, making it 2-1. Xavi Simons with the assist. It did actually go to VAR. And what did you make of the goal for Dominic Solanke?
It was one we kind of needed, like we said. We kind of started that second half a bit better, and that goal kind of confirmed that. Obviously, the VAR decision, I don't think there was really much in it. I think they both just collided together with Gay. So for me, it was kind of like a striker instinct. He was there, right place, right time. Again, great ball from Xavi Simons to find him in that kind of area. And it's just something we've kind of lacked for weeks in, weeks out, of not having an out-and-out striker that knows how to strike the ball and get the ball in the back of the net. Because, again, we've relied so heavily on Mickey van der Ven and Romero being our defenders, which, again, is a massive worry for us. But it's so glad that Dominic got that goal. And like I said, we'll move on to the second one a bit later. But I'm so happy for him, because being out for so long and then being able to hit the ground running straight away when he's back is a massive boost for us.
Yeah, VAR said here, the referee's call of goal was checked and confirmed by VAR, with the challenge by Solanke on Mark Gay deemed not to be a foul as Solanke played the ball. The goal accreditation panel has adjudged the goal to be a Solanke goal. Craig, do you want to talk us through the goal as well? The first goal for Solanke?
Yeah, it was. I was actually surprised they didn't give it, but I'm glad that VAR's brought in to. You'd like to think anyway. It was originally brought in to sort of like give a bit of advantage to the striker. I think somewhere else on the pitch it might have even been given as a foul, but I thought it was deserved anyway. Really good finish from Solanke. He's again in position where you want your number 9. Really good, just cut back here, cuts inside and sort of collides with Gay, kicks his leg onto Gay's leg, collided, and the ball dribbles across the line. So, fully deserved from Dominic Solanke. He really put in a shift in that second half. So got us back in the game, didn't it, at a really crucial time.
Craig, I've got to ask you, because you have been doubtful about Thomas Frank for months, it's fair to say. When you get Dominic Solanke back in this team, scoring goals, being in the right position, is there a part of you now that thinks, well, when you get the likes of Maddison, when you get the likes of Kulusevski back in this team, and Spurs get a lot more depth into this squad as well, do you think that it could work under Thomas Frank? Because, I feel like all of us have used that phrase, chalk and cheese, these last few weeks. We've had some really good moments, but we've had some really difficult moments as well. Can it go Can it go the positive way?
Anything can happen in football, right? But I've used this phrase before. I think we've seen a big enough sample size. We haven't had this many injuries the whole season, right? We had a much stronger squad the first half of the season before Christmas. And let me just give you a stat. If people are actually forgetting this, we've won 2 Premier League games in 3 months. That is a fact. We've won 2 since 26th of October. Now, we didn't have all these injuries before that. That is not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. I'm sorry. I'm going to be positive today because I thought that second half deems we need to be positive about it, or else why you are a fan, right?
Go on then.
For me, but that's all you can say on it, though, isn't it? Because we did come in. The second half display was very good, but overall, you're asking me about do I have faith in Thomas Frank? No, I don't, because I've seen a big enough sample size. I don't like his style of football. It proved today again that the original plan was wrong. Again, that's happened far too often this season. It just shows you, as Ricky said, the second half, the plan B, if you like, was the right plan we should have gone with. We were nearly out of that game completely today. If Haaland chips that one in the first half, we could have been 3 or 4-0 down. The game's gone. So I've just seen enough. I don't like Thomas Frank's style of football. I don't think he's the right fit for Tottenham Hotspur. And you're asking me if I still want Thomas Frank gone. Yes, I do, because I think somebody else can come in and do a better job. But you have to give him credit for today. In that second half, we came back into it. Could it work full time? I can't actually answer that. I'm not sure. I've seen enough from the players we had before Christmas when he had a reasonably decent squad. Yes, he didn't have Madison. Yes, he didn't have Kulusevski, but he had Xavi Simons. He had all these other players. He had Bergvall at his disposal. And some of the team selections as well. We can go back and look at the Paulinho and Bentancur partnership, which peed off loads of people because he persisted with that. That wasn't working, yet he kept carrying on and on and on with that. Didn't play the likes of Sarr, didn't give Bergvall a run. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. He's paid to do a job. 2 wins in the Premier League, which is your bread and butter since the end of October, is not good enough. As I say, give him credit for today and I'll give him credit for the week. Absolutely, you have to. You have to be balanced in it. But you're asking me overall? I still don't think so.
This was a really interesting moment in the game, I felt. On 68 minutes, Odegaard and Tell came on. Basuma and Mawani went off. Now, Thomas Frank actually thought the 4th official was about to put the players on. Thomas Frank, I was sat right behind the dugout, and Thomas Frank actually shouted at the 4th official and said, not yet. And it wasn't. It was actually something else that the 4th official was doing. And then he actually apologised. But he wanted time for him and his coaching staff to give these 2 players, in particular, Tell and Odegaard, real clear instructions before they entered the field, which did seem to take hell of a long time. But then 2 minutes later, Spurs got the equaliser. Excellent work from Gallagher. And I feel, actually, Craig, like you mentioned earlier, we haven't really mentioned Conor Gallagher a lot on these podcasts when he has played, but great work from him setting up Dominic Solanke. I feel like I'm going to give all 3 of you the opportunity to talk about this wonder goal from Dominic Solanke. Ricky, let's start with you. Talk us through the goal, because it was a wonderful finish.
I mean, Chris, as a striker myself, it was amazing technique, and I would give him a few pointers, but it doesn't matter. The ball went in the back of the net. I thought the cross and the tenacity by Gallagher to pick up the ball and put the ball in was a really precise and good one. It had intention on that cross, and the fact that Solanke with his improvisation got his back heel on it. It was such a gorgeous goal. I mean, it's not top bins, but it's such a gorgeous goal. And, what a difference the side is with Dom Solanke in there. I mean, can you imagine me and him playing off each other? It could be dynamite. And there is, still 23 hours, 57 minutes left of the transfer window. But no, it was a gorgeous goal, bro. And do you know what? We needed an open play goal that was beautiful. We needed a beautiful open play goal today, and for a long time, and we got it today. And I think that really, and it came such a perfect time as well. It was around that time where that 75 minutes was ticking along, and you know, there was the possibility of a lot of the crowd walking out. But to see that fight, to see that return, and then to see that goal, listen, there was no Tottenham fan going anywhere. And again, it shows you to all of those supporters in the ground tonight, more so than anything, they want Tottenham to be successful. They want the boys to move forward. They want to win. We want to play football and we want to win. We want to dare and we want to do it. And when the crowd see that in the second half, nobody wants to leave for whatever reason. We can make the argument about the board or about all the other issues we have as Tottenham fans another day. But when you see that type of comeback and when you see that fight back and then a beautiful goal to make it 2-2, like I say, it's not top bins, but being improvised and to have the back heel to do what he done, fantastic, man. Really, really good. Really, really lovely goal.
Hollie, do you have a clue what Ricky's going on about?
I do, sadly.
Oh, no.
I do. I've got it in my head. It's ingrained. The amount of times I've watched it to see the technique, I've seen it. Yeah.
You know what, Hollie? It's Craig's fault because he made it epic. I would have just spoken about it for years, but when he put that Whitney Houston and he was like boom boom and top bins is just mate, he made it. So it's Craig's fault, really.
All right.
I didn't realise you'd go bang on about it for the next year, though, Rick. To be honest with you, but there you go.
Mate, I haven't kicked a ball in like 10 years or so, bro. I'm living off that forever. Like, Watford is out the window. Talk about top bins all day.
Brilliant.
Actually, someone did stop us in Germany and said to us about Watford. So Watford is not completely stopped. People still go on about it. Hollie, talk to me about Dominic Solanke's goal. Jan Vertonghen tweeted earlier. He was at the stadium today and he tweeted saying, "Third time I witnessed Puskas winner now." You know, he's held this goal in high regard.
Defo, 100%. I mean, it was just beautiful, wasn't it? It was poetic. Again, the ball in from Gallagher. I know we've mentioned how good he's done, but the ball in, and I mean, look, the ball's behind him, and he's just had the natural instinct to just scorpion kick it. And Donnarumma's not an easy goalkeeper to try and beat, and he's gone and done it. I know he got a hand to it, but it was just unreal. I'm still in awe of it. I mean, it's just magical, majestic, so to speak. But again, like I said, for him to get the first, for him to do that for the second, it just truly kind of adds to the fact that we've missed him for such a long time, just because of that instinct. We don't have someone up top, and I know we've got Colo to kind of do that, and we could try and play players up top. It just doesn't work. When you've got someone that's naturally a striker and he can do stuff like that, it just kind of adds value to it. But I'm so glad for him because I hope that whatever he's kind of done, I know there was rumours that maybe he's rolled his ankle, but he said he'll be fine. Hopefully we bubble wrap him up because we need him in every game going forward.
So, Hollie, Ricky's goal or Dom Solanke's goal?
I'm going to have to give it Dom, man. Like, it's unheard of. I'm going to have to give it to Dom.
Craig, what do you make of it? Being a striker yourself.
I've never mentioned that. Yeah, I'd have to say, look, I scored one from my own half against Tilbury one year, but that one beats mine without doubt.
I'm so sorry about our guests being so vain about their own goals.
He's rubbing off on me, that man. Where is he? That one. Yeah.
Hold on. No. Hollie, I'm surprised you haven't said about a goal that you've scored.
Oh, there's too many, man. No, I'm joking.
I
only played as a striker once in the National League, and I was offside more times than I can count. I was more of a winger, so I set the goals up. So there's not really many I can talk about.
Sorry, Craig. Go on, carry on. Carry on talking about yourself. Go on.
No, look, that goal. He'll probably never score another one like that again. But it's that adaptability as a striker, just to craft something out of nothing. Like I say, he'll never do that again. But I was actually surprised to see how close Donnarumma was to get into it. It just goes to show what a reach he's got and long arms he's got, actually, because he nearly saved it, didn't he? But it was just a phenomenal bit of improvisation, really good interception. I think Gallagher, did he win the ball or put a tackle into to actually get the ball in the first place and run down the line? But a really good cross.
It was a tackle. He won the ball back. Yeah,
he won the tackle, didn't he? Yeah, just a really good passage of play, and that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Solanke wins the Puskas Award for that. Thoroughly deserved if he did. But yeah, what a remarkable bit of skill. It was one of those you're like, what has just happened? What have I just witnessed? It was immense. Yeah.
Craig, how are you feeling at that point? Because 2-2 after 73 minutes, you're thinking that Spurs could go on to win it. Thomas Frank, I think, thought that we were going to go on to win it. He really, really enjoyed that moment when Dominic Solanke scored, pulling it back to 2-2. But how are you feeling at that point? Because the momentum of the game, you would have thought that Spurs would have gone on to win it, and we did have a number of chances.
Yeah, you could kind of just see it. It was just one of those instances, one of those games where you could just see Spurs somehow turning it around. It was bizarre. First half coming in, and then you got that. I could honestly see us winning that. But how was I feeling? I was just laughing at one point because I thought this is just Spurs. It's got, you're celebrating everything, and then you just laugh and you're thinking, yeah, we've done it again. Absolutely crap in the first half, and then produce that in the second half. And Solanke scores a Puskas Award-winning goal. But I have to say, out the goals, I personally would. I think Ricky edges it for me. I think Ricky's finish was far better. This is a robo keeper. Let me just say, a robo keeper that's supposed to be unbeatable. And Ricky Norwood, our own Ricky Norwood, who we all know and love, beat robo keeper. All Solanke did was beat Donnarumma. Ricky Norwood beat robo keeper. So, anybody, come on, give the man a bit of credit. Come on. Much better goal by Ricky Norwood.
Talking about credit, do you give Thomas Frank the credit for the subs that he made today?
They worked. They certainly worked. Yeah, Sarr, I think actually we looked better with Sarr on the pitch, to be honest. Sarr was just pressing forward a lot more. Byfield obviously came on as well, didn't he? Who was the other? So who did Kalamawani come off for? That was Tell, wasn't it? Tell. I think, yeah, Tell come on. I don't think Tell was brilliant when he came on, but again, the subs were at the right time. What annoys me is what you mentioned, Chris, is the sheer amount of time it takes to give them the instructions. You should be telling them that before they come on. They should know their instructions clear and then they're standing there and then they're ready to go on. So that's just the one thing that I would question. But yeah, he got those subs right today. But let's be honest, we didn't have much on the bench, did we? I would have loved to have seen the kids get more time, but obviously, the game was so tight at that point. You kind of get why Thomas Frank couldn't change it too much.
Rick, let's come to you. On 74 minutes, Agombar had a shot which was saved by Donnarumma. A minute later, Xavi Simons had a shot on goal. That was also saved by Donnarumma. The crowd went wild at this point, and I felt like the crowd in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium really believed that Spurs were going to go on and win the game. What did you make of the last 15 minutes or so? Because in the 78th minute, Man City had a cross, header just wide of the left post. On 84 minutes, City had another chance, just went wide. They brought Phil Foden on as well. Pep was literally throwing everything at it because, of course, they needed a win today to keep up with the pace of Arsenal, league leaders at the moment. On 85 minutes, Xavi Simons with a cross couldn't find Agombar. Frank was jumping up and down at that point because I really feel like he thought that we were going to get that winning goal. And then in the 90th minute, Dominic Solanke came off and Byfield came on. But what did you make of that last 15, 20 minutes or so?
That last 15 minutes, Chris, we went to win. We wasn't holding on for the 2-2 at that point. We were continuing to play football and being on the offensive. And
we haven't seen that a lot this season.
Exactly. We kept the press high. We put more players up there. How many times when we wrestled the ball up in the opposition side of the field, does something happen? So that I loved seeing us going to win. I loved that. All right, cool. We had to make subs, and Agombar and Tell were now on. Agombar's been playing well recently, and yes, he's had a knock, but Tell's got something to prove every single week. So I'm like, all right, we're going for it, and I love to see that. Like you just said there, it was only until Dom came off And then we had that 9 minutes of extra time where I felt maybe after 2-3 minutes of that extra time that, all right, cool, now we're going to manage and hold on to this 2-2, which I can understand in the situation that we're in. But I love seeing us go to win. And I love that last 15 minutes, they didn't hold off. They didn't sit back. We've seen it so many times when we've been in this exact same position. When we do that, we end up being the ones conceding that goal. We end up giving the initiative to the opposition and they end up taking it. But we wasn't having it today. You know, all the way up into that 90 minutes, the boys were like, no, all right, we're going to show you. And that's something that we want to see. That's something we can get behind. That's something we can clap. That's something we can cheer. That's something we can be, you know, quote unquote, although I hate this line, that's something that we can be proud of. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love seeing that. So let's continue that. Let's continue for us playing to win. And you will see things change. You will see bits of magic like Dom Solanke's scorpion back heel kick. We will see more of that if we go and play to win. And if you put me up front with Dom, it could be fireworks. This is what I'm saying.
Good grief. Oh, I'm off mute. Is there anything else that the three of you would like to say about today's game, performance and result before we move on to a very short preview for the Manchester United game? No? Okay, right. Ricky, let's start with you. Manchester United up next. It's the Saturday game. It's the early kickoff, 12:30. Manchester United are up to 4th in the Premier League, 41 points from 24 games. As I mentioned, Spurs are, we remain in 14th, 29 points from 24 matches. Now, Michael Carrick has come in and done an absolutely wonderful job. His first fixture was the Manchester Derby on the 17th of Jan. They won 2-0. And then the following week, a very, very tough game away at Arsenal. They won 3-2. And Manchester United also won their third game under Michael Carrick's management today, beating Fulham 3-2. So that is 3 wins out of 3. Spurs visit there on Saturday. What are you thinking?
Big game. Very, very big game. I think Man United's story is kind of similar to ours. You know, under Amorim, they were playing not to lose. And under Carrick, they're playing to win. And you've seen that fight. You've seen the comebacks. You've seen it. It doesn't matter how big, quote unquote, the opposition is or what position they're in the league, that Man United are going to fight. And we've seen examples of that in the Tottenham game. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to be putting forward. You know, fingers crossed, we've got a couple of players back next week as well. And it's about that. It's about building on this second half plan. It's about making the second half plan the number one plan and going out there and showing them what we're about. If we continue to do what we've done in the first half, Man United, especially because they're still fighting, they're still on the up right now, and Carrick's got a lot to do and a lot to prove, and he wants the role. You can see he wants the role. So they're going to go out there to not come out with a 0-0. They're going to go out there to win. We need to match that fight. We need to match that ambition. We need to match that mentality and go for it. And who knows what will happen? We've got it in the squad, even though it's decimated. We do have those bits of quality in the squad, and you can see that Dom's getting stronger week in, week out, game in, game out right now since he's been back. The hold-up play, the goals, the link-up, it's all getting stronger and stronger. You know, let's go out there and put our best foot forward, and we could be the ones that come out victorious. But it's up to us. It's up to that game plan. And, if we concede it will be a bad day. If we go for it, you know, it could be something to cheer about.
Ricky, what do you expect in the next 3 games? Because, of course, tough game today, tough game next week. Then we face Newcastle at home and Arsenal at home. Out of the next 3 games in Feb, how many points are we picking up?
I don't know, Chris. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it just, for me, I've got to go a bit, you know, old school and say game by game right now. I can't look at the future. I've got to go game by game, personally. And it's about Frank. Nice one, Dave. Nice one, Dave. Do you know what? I didn't want to say it, Dave Morgan, but you are the man. You've got great judgment. I've always agreed what you've said. So big up. Thank you for the support for the channel. and for me. But it's all about us, Chris. If we put our best foot forward, we can come out singing. But it's just you don't know what team's gonna turn up. So I've got my fingers and toes crossed for us.
Hollie, how are you feeling ahead of that Manchester United game, particularly after what you've seen in the second half today?
Not as stressed as I was after that first half performance. I feel a little bit better. I'm just kind of on everybody else's kind of front. I just hope that we do kind of turn up first half, because I feel like if we do start games like that, it's going to put us in better stead. I'm fed up of us actually deciding to wake up when we're 2-0 down. And the thing that worries me the most is that United have found some form. They've had that new manager bounce and they don't really look like slowing down. And I think that's my biggest worry. But again, like we've kind of all said, if with Solanke back, with him firing, hopefully his ankle's okay. I think we have a better chance, especially like we said, that fight that we saw from the players in that second half, which we haven't really seen in the Premier League for a long time. I think Champions League is just a total different entity in itself. But yeah, I'm a bit more relieved after that second half that we could go to United and get something from the game.
Hollie, you haven't been on the channel for a while, so let me ask you a little bit more in depth about Thomas Frank. How are you feeling about Frank? And do you think that he will be, regardless of what happens, do you think he will be Spurs manager next season?
It's really difficult because obviously last year with kind of Aj and stuff, I was kind of at wit's end. I really wanted to see how that third season go, but I knew in the Prem we were awful. And it's kind of like a mirror because we're kind of seeing that with Thomas Frank now. The only problem is with Ange, you kind of had that fight and that front foot. We just never really had that defensive nature. With Thomas Frank, I don't have a sense of us going out to win games. He focuses too much on the opposition. And I know we've kind of mentioned that already tonight, but for me, I just don't think he's got that kind of Tottenham ilk. And I don't think that's wrong for us to say that a manager isn't right for Spurs, because that is who we are. That's our identity. That's who we are. And for me, I just don't think Frank's the man for it. Do I think he's going to be here next season? The fact that he still is here and the fact that we haven't really seen many people walk through the door kind of makes me think that the board are not backing down, because there's been too many times where they've sacked a manager. But I feel this time they've kind of dealt their cards. They can't really go back on it now. So they're just kind of be like, well, we've got to ride this out and see how it goes. So for me, I think he will potentially be the manager next season, whether I want that or not. But at the moment, the board aren't really giving me any kind of confidence that they want to get him gone, which again is slightly bizarre. But you then look at it and think, well, the players we've got back. But I just don't think he's the man for us, to put it simply.
Craig, looking forward to Manchester United away next Saturday?
I always look forward to this game. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? United seem to have been at a bit of a resurgence under Michael Carrick and Jonathan Woodgate. So, this is not going to be as an easier game like perhaps it would have, kind of know what you're getting with Amorim. Obviously done well at Old Trafford in recent history, but I just think this is going to be a tough game. I think if we can come away from Old Trafford with a draw, I think that would be a good result, to be honest. As Hollie said, no reason to think if we win at them like we did City in the second half that we can't get more, to be honest with you. But I think this is going to be a tougher game. It's going to be a different proposition. As I say, City looked quite fragile at the back over recent games, and again, obviously against us this afternoon in the second half. So ultimately, I think if we can get a draw at Old Trafford, that would be good, and a win would be obviously even better. So looking forward to it. It's 12:30 on Saturday, isn't it? Manchester United. So yeah, that's the early game. I hate the early game, by the way, because if you lose the early game, it just ruins your weekend for longer, doesn't it? But let's hope we can get that win and actually look forward to watching match of the day for once, and then sitting back and hoping the other sides around us don't do as well as us, because we are still lower down that Premier League than we all want.
I'm sad to say that I think that I don't actually know what we've had more comments on, the Spurs-Man City game or Ricky's goal. Honestly, the amount of people that are that are mentioning Ricky's goal, it's unreal. Last question for you all. So the remaining 3 games in Feb, the Manchester United game, Newcastle and Arsenal, realistically, and I want you to be as realistic as possible. This is more of a head answer rather than a heart answer. Ricky, let's start with you. How many points are we picking up? And give us a score prediction for the Manchester United game.
Okay, so against Man United, I'm going to go for a 3-2. 3-2 win Tottenham. We need it. You can see that that there is goals in the side as long as we play that front-footed football that we did in the second half. So I'm going to be optimistic as always and a little bit delusional and say a 3-2 win, and we'll come away with those 3 points. But like I say, for the month of February, Chris, I haven't got a clue, my friend. Haven't got a clue. I just want us to build on the positive bits little bit by little bit, and that's what I'm holding on to. So we need to see it to believe it, and let's wait and see.
Hollie?
I'm going 2-2. I think it'll be. I hope we start better, but I don't think we've got a win in us just yet. I think it's going to be 2-2. And for the points for the rest of the month, I generally think we're going to get 2 points out of it if we can manage to get 2 draws. I'm not too sure who we're going to lose against, but I think that's how it's going to go down.
And Craig?
I think 2 more points this month, and I think we're going to draw. I'm going to go 1-1 against Manchester United. I think, 1-1.
Okay. Ricky, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media and where they can find this video of the goal.
Well, you guys know where you can find me, at Ricky J Norwood on X and official Ricky Norwood on Instagram. You can also see what I'm up to with my own little podcast that we're doing, Tea Talk in Tottenham. Type it all in one word. You'll find it in YouTube and you'll find it on Insta and X as well. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that we met in Germany, really. It was awesome. The away crowd were absolutely beautiful people. We was in a old German bar at one point and we was having a great conversation, a couple of jokes with some gentlemen that ended up buying us a drink. Thank you to you guys. Got to see Janet and her sister or friend, I think, in the ground itself. And then there was Mrs. Fox, who was in and her sister that was in the hotel that we were staying in as well. All beautiful people, had stories galore, and it was just really nice to kind of connect with you all and see the love and support that we've got for this channel. Is just immense, man. It's crazy. That was an amazing time. And where can you find the goal? More than likely on my Insta, on my Twitter. I'll probably be posting it again real soon. I'll just let you know now there is a last minute snaggle. I have had a text from Langer, and the full t-shirt is on the line right now. Gray's not willing to give it up, so that could collapse the whole deal right now. Even though they want to give me $250 a week with a 10 mil signing on bonus, if I can't get the full team, it's not going to happen. So, but bless you all for being along with the jokes, and Top Bins is never going to stop. Never going to stop. Thank you to Kate as well, who said I should change my name to Ricky Kane, but Jimbo's the man who said I should really sign for Tottenham. So thank you to your son as well, who actually said that Cristiano Ronaldo couldn't beat Robo Keeper and only Messi could. Thank you to John Fraser, who said it was Jimmy Greaves-esque. Thank you to all you guys for your love and support. You never know. Next week against Man United, I could be lining up either here or on the field. Let's see what happens in the next 24.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you. Hollie, where can people find you?
I don't think I can actually up that kind of goodbye, to be honest with you. You won't see me scoring Top Bins goals, but you can find me over at Hollie's Hotspurs on my YouTube every Monday at 7 p.m, where we kind of just dissect the game just gone and preview the game coming up. Or you can find me on Twitter at Hollie Agombar. But thank you, Chris, for having me on again. Ricky, I'm going to go back and rewatch this goal again. I'm going to analyse it and see if it is better than Dom's.
Definitely.
Ricky, I'm just going to tell everyone that it was AI and it's not even real. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Craig, thank you for the AI video of Ricky scoring the goal. You can tell everyone now that he missed.
He didn't. Unfortunately, he didn't, because look.
Oh my God!
That's the goal. That's the goal. That's the goal. He's well happy, the boy. Look at him. Look at his little face.
Look at the Ginola.
Look, you might want to see it again. Look at that. It's pinpoint. It's pinpoint.
I can't believe you showed that.
Come on, you
pinpoint.
Spurs.
We are never, ever going to hear the end of this.
At Dearman 9 on X if you want to give me a follow. And don't forget, Ricky J. Norwood, goal of the century, Puskas award-winning goal. Look at that. One of our own. One of our own. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everyone. Craig, Ricky, Hollie, thank you so much. We will see you again very soon. Enjoy your weekend. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.